Good afternoon, Adoption Warrior family. I'm happy to be back with you guys. It's been a little bit, but we are thrilled to be back with more and different, more interesting topics, I hope. And so today we are going to talk about maybe a sensitive topic to some, and it is personal, depending on how it's done, and that is an agency called CPS. A lot of us adoption and foster kids, we had CPS in our lives more than we'd want, maybe. And some have great experiences and some not so much. But, some states, it's called different things. But I know here in Texas, it's called CPS. And so with CPS, we're going to go through and figure out exactly what it is that they do. And we're going to talk about it and see what we can come up with. So again, Child Protective Service is a government agency. The responsibility is for the kids to be safe and their well-being, right? And so, as we know, that's a very important thing for our kids to be safe and to feel safe. And this is an agency to help them, right? And so, what is it that we expect from CPS that, when we think about CPS getting involved, and we hear about it in the courts, we hear about it in our foster kids or adoption kids, what is it that we should expect from them and for them to do to help the kids? And so, one of the things is when CPS receives a report of a child being abused or neglected, they are legally obligated to investigate that and to look into that and see what's going on, and that may vary in different ways. And so as CPS conducts a initial assessment to determine the allegations that are there, different things that they're going to go into play. They're going to talking to people. They're going to start going into your home. They're going to start looking at emails. They're going to start looking at text messages. And some of the stuff can be a little bit scary or uncertain. Just imagine somebody coming into your home and, looking through all your stuff, talking to different people about you. Did you see this or did you see that? And it may go through the church, it may go through the school, it may go through your home. So all that kind of stuff can be scary, and you're like, oh, somebody's getting into my privacy. So that kind of stuff can be uncertain, right? So as I was saying, CPS, they may come into your home, do a home visit. They may do a school visit. They may do it between a child and a family. And that can be somewhat personal, right? You feel like maybe they're trying to get in between you guys and causing friction. When, in good intentions, we're going to say in good faith that CPS wouldn't do that. Not everybody is, an angel, I guess you could say. So we're not going to sit here and say that there's not a biased, unbiased deal when it comes to CPS. I'm not saying either way, but I'm just saying that, with that being said, that, they do, they'll put the parent in one room and the child in the next room, and then they'll kind of go back and forth and kind of see if the stories collaborate or they're against each other, and it may cause friction. Because at the end of the day, let's just say that they're going to leave eventually, and then the two people that were, in separate rooms, they're going to come home together, and they're going to either talk about it, not talk about it. And I feel like that's a lot of the deals that when CPS does do investigations, that the child can feel intimidated. They could be scared. Say, well, what if I tell them that? And then they tell their parents, and and then I get in trouble when CPS leaves, and I feel like that happens a lot, and I wish CPS would do a little bit better of a job trying to create a safe place for these children to be able to speak openly about it, because it is something very scary. You're sitting there They're asking you questions that may affect your lifestyle at home, may affect your foster parents, your adopted parents, or just your parents in general. Because CPS isn't just for adopted and foster kids. They're for all kids, all families here in America. So it's not just for foster and adopted kids. But the CPS, they do operate under the authority granted to them by the state law. So they do have authority. So we want to make sure that we, respond to them accordingly. Stay within the laws. And I've been on either side of the CPS, right? So I may have a biased opinion about it or unbiased opinion about it, but I've been on both sides, so I understand both sides. So when it comes to CPS, you also want to be, welcoming to them, but at the same time, you want to protect yourself always, and also go within your laws, the laws that are set out. Make sure we stay within the laws and be protected. Also, CPS does have the legal right to remove that child from the home if they feel that child is in immediate danger, and feel like, hey, I need to remove this child or children from this home. So, and again, that may be something very stressful, and I'm sure it is very stressful when CPS is allowed to take that child from the home. And sometimes it's not even in the middle of the day, right? The CPS can get a call at 1 o'clock in the morning, and that child will be taken from that home at 1, 2, 3 in the morning. So that can be very stressful to the child, to the parent. It can cause a lot of chaos, a lot of emotions. So we want to be careful with that. Also, the police, I'm sure at that point, would be involved. And again, this is all to be the better of this child. So again, we want to be careful with that, because that, I think, is used very loosely sometimes. Oh, we're doing it for the better of the child, and it can come from this side of the family, that side of the family. It can come through, sometimes maybe the state. There's a lot of emotions, a lot of feelings going into this situation. It is extremely sensitive and very personal, very scary, intimidating. I mean, for us to imagine that you wake up in the middle of the night and also you have these strange people coming and taking you away from your home, from your parents or something like that. That's scary for a child. And the CPS, they're involved the courts, they're involved the police, they're involved all local authorities, and work it out together as a team. And again, we want to pray that everybody's working in the best interest of the child. And sometimes that child may be taken to another family member, and sometime if it's sorted out, that the parent can regain custody of that child. So there are some positive things, and sometimes that's all it takes. Maybe the house is extremely dirty or unfit for the child, and the parent, all they really need to do is clean up the house, clean themselves up, and they can regain custody of that child. So not necessarily is once a child is taken away that it's a permanent thing. A lot of times it is a temporary thing. Hey, CPS gives the parents the right and the option to clean themselves up, whether it's a dirty house or drugs or alcohol or abandonment, neglect. It all depends on the circumstance and investigations, and what they found and what was reported. So once the CPS claims are made, they're going to go through each file. They're going to check the allegations. They're going to determine is there anything here. Um, if not, then they'll give the child back and life will go on. Um, Also, when you again, I'm trying to mentally reflect back into times that I've had experience of CPS. Um, they also can be people that just show up out of nowhere, out of nowhere, right? Yeah, you don't really see them coming necessarily. A report may just be made, and all of a sudden they just pop up at your house, and like, wow, who are these people, right? And and when it comes to that, again, I reflect back at being ripped from your home through neglect or a situation with your parents, and the CPS found it to be, hey, it's serious enough to be taken from your home. That is one of the most scariest things a child can imagine. And but as far as the termination of the parents' rights, that's the most severe outcome of this child case. And again, that's a permanent thing, and that's when a child can go into foster home, it can go into adoption, and again, that child will be expected to live in an unfamiliar place for a period of time, which again is very, very scary. And let's pause. Okay, and you can this right here. You can pause it, right? You paused it. Okay. Okay. I go to the next page. All right, stop right there. Okay, we're ready. And so one of the other things that we want to touch bases on is that we're going to hope and pray that each allegation that is brought to CPS that is true, um, and that is for the better of the child. But as we know, we don't live in a perfect world. Uh, we don't necessarily live in an honest world. So there are a lot of false reports made to the CPS. And that can go for several reasons. That could be an avenged family member, it could be an avenged coworker, or there could be a blackmailing situation. I mean, there's so many different reasons why a false report would be made to CPS. And I want to talk about that for just a minute, because I feel like that happens probably too often. And we need to take in thought about how that can affect a child, how that can affect a family, and also how it can affect you as the individual making a false report. So it is a criminal charge that when you make a false report to CPS, it can come up to fines, it can come up to imprisonments. Even the state of Texas, I believe it's up to 2 years in jail. $10,000 fine if I can remember correctly. So it is a serious deal, and it can affect you as a person that makes a false report. And you can also again affect the child. You can affect the family members, and some families, it's hard to come back from something like that. And also, if you're the parent, the other parent that's making these false allegations, it can also affect your custody situation. They can take the custody away from you and give it to the other parent that you made a false report to. So I mean, it's just not worth it, right? It's just not in the best interest of the child in any shape or form to make a false report to CPS. There's no good outcome of that. Defamations can be put against you. Your reputation can be harmed. It's just, and again, there's nothing at all about it. It can put your family into, like I mentioned, it can put your family in distress. Some on a little humorous side, it can make your Christmas and Thanksgiving dinners uncomfortable. And as family, is to create the opposite. We're supposed to have this bond, this closeness. Even as your neighbors, your church, it can make your church uncomfortable. So not all of these things. I've really been talking about the family here, but not all of these always have to come from your family. It can also come from your church. It can come from your school. It can come from your neighbors. It possibly come from a stranger at Walmart. Who knows? So it's just something to really be mindful of. Let CPS do their job. Help CPS do their job. And if you truly are for the best of the child, act accordingly. Help that child. Help CPS. Help that family do the right thing. Again, for the best interest of the child. Because we always have to remember and always think about this, and you always hear it, that today's children will be the ones that will be our leaders, down the road. And so this is an emotional and stressful environment for a child in every way. I know CPS, some areas CPS has done a really good job. I know when I was adopted and I went through CPS, I only remember good things about CPS, honestly. And that was my personal experience. I never remembered CPS doing ill will towards me as a kid. But that was, that was 30-something years, 35 years ago when I was in CPS. So it's been a while. So CPS probably, I'm sure it has changed. New faces, new attitudes, new people. And so all we can do is really help CPS help the kids. I've seen CPS do their work sometimes when, like, I was a child advocate for Harris County. Honestly, I wasn't impressed at all with CPS. But that doesn't say that there's not good ones out there. There are a lot of good ones out there. There's probably a few bad ones out there. But let's be a tool. Let's be a voice for these children. Let's not let them get stressed out, be in a bad position and not do anything about it. Again, if you see a child that is in need and you see the neglect and you see them being abused, and make a report, call CPS and get them involved again, and to help the child, not to badger the parent, not to badger the other member on the other side of it. It's not about you and what you want. It's not about what the other parent wants. It is strictly about the best interest of the child. And I can't say that enough and enough and enough. And because so many times, personal feelings get involved with this kind of stuff. The grandmother wants to see the child, so they're going to call CPS, or the grandfather, aunt, uncle, brothers and sisters, you name it. They feel like, hey, I want to see my child, so the best way to do this is let's call CPS on this person so they can get taken from the home. And hopefully they'll call us to see if we can take the child. And hey, that's one way we get the child. And that is everything but right. That is 100% the wrong way, the wrong mindset. Again, with CPS, I take that very seriously. It's very personal to me. I've seen it so many different ways, more than two ways that a person can flip this. So again, my last statement on this, again, make sure that all of this with CPS is in the best interest of the child and the child only. And with that, I hope that you guys found this to be interesting. Make some comments below if you have any questions or any ideas that you would like for us to talk about. And again, until next time, don't be a stranger to a child in need. Thank you.